So hello everyone and welcome to Layered Effects tutorial. I'm Jesper, I'm from Astera, and in this tutorial we will learn everything there is to know about the layered effects. Jumping into chapter 1 is about preparation. So we need to make sure that we have the Astera box connected to our smartphone or tablet. In the Astera app, of course, we have the lights paired to the Astera app so we can control them. Then we also need to do a reset and of course some grouping when we have multiple lights and we want the most out of the layered effects. As you see here on the right side, we already have the lights paired what we want here. So I have a Titan tube, I also have a NYX bulb. As you see, the Titan tube is lighting up red, simply just indicating that it has been reset. Talking about grouping, we can do it with sync set, we can also do it with flow set. Flow set is probably more convenient when we have multiple lights aligned next to each other. So when going to the target page, I already created some groups. So in the layered effects right here, the Titan tube here is added to this sync set. And down here, of course, I have the NYX bulb. So just make sure to have all this preparation done before we even start playing with the layered effects. In the Getting Started with the Astera app tutorial in chapter 2, you can watch about pairing the lights to the Astera app and also connecting the Astera box to your smartphone or tablet. Also a lot of ways to reset the lights, which is very helpful whenever we start to do something, is in chapter 3, Getting Started with the Astera app, and then also creating groups, which is also in the Getting Started with the Astera app in chapter 9. Digging into chapter 2, which is about manual sync. Actually, the layer effects are stored inside the lights, so time to time you need to sync the lights. Can be that you already have the layers running on some tubes, and then you add an extra tube. If this is not reacting as the other ones, then we simply just need to sync them, and then they will be running properly again. As you see here in the app, when we launch a layered effects, for instance, then you can force it to resync. If you don't want to wait for it, then you can go to the editor, and up in the right corner, which is highlighted now, the arrow in the circle, this is how we can force it to resync. This is necessary if you feel that the tubes or the lights are not reacting properly to what you are launching of layered effects here in the Astera app. So during this tutorial, I will be showing the layered effects on one Titan tube, but don't you worry, you can also have multiple tubes working with the layered effects. I have two tubes right here just to show you how it looks like, and I have the process bar right here. So simply now we have created a flow set and we have an effect running through. When creating a flow set, you can actually add up to 128 lights. You can also see how the fireworks is looking like, Paparazzi for instance, and we also can do some police like this and the process here at the end. Jumping into chapter 3, so first of all, when all the preparation is done, then we need to create a new tile. To get started, we want to create our own layered effect tiles. As you can see here on the right side in the app, we have a completely empty page. This is of course something we can create. And when we scroll a little bit around, you will also see the already existing tiles here in the Astera app. Now, first things we gotta do is to press the plus button up on top, simply just to create a new effect program. Now add a static red program. And you will also, once we choose the position here, start to realize that the tube is slowly turning into red. Also makes sense since it is a red effect. Now I have the 5 tabs down in the bottom, so we will now go to the editor, the tab with the fader icon. Now move up to the top and scroll through the effects until you find the layered effects. You will also see in the layered effects now, the red bar is also symbolizing the tube, which I have turned like this. Now to open the layered effects editor, simply just press the long red bar. So the first thing we gotta do is simply just to add a new program, go to the editor and then find the layered effects, and then we can simply just choose the effects we want and edit them from the effect parameters or the layer geometry. So after we have created our first program and also with the layered effects, then we can simply start with our first effect, so the poor man's process. Can be that we want a driving car effect, then this will be the right way to start. As you see, my tube here is now red, also symbolized by the red bar here in the app. Talking a little bit about layer geometry, we can now, for instance, hold our finger down here on the right side on the red bar, then we can adjust the length of the tube. If you hold down your finger on the left side of the red bar, then we can move it. However, to create this poor man's process, I want it on the left side, and now we as first choose the color. We want a driving car effect, so something similar to a light pole. 3200K. Now you see the color also changes. Now we can go to the layer geometry, which is this tab here with the arrows inside, right here. We want, of course, this effect to be moving because it has to look like a driving car. Now simply just choose here with the arrow so you can decide a direction which they should move to. Now we can adjust the speed, and in my case I want them to run just a little bit faster. Very important when creating a poor man's process is that we also can create some more distance in between the light poles. This is done with the post delay, which is down in the very bottom. When we do add some post delay, we also create a virtual extension of the tubes. No matter if you have 10 tubes in a flow set, but for instance here you see it actually goes out of the tube and comes back in again. So now we have created some distance between the light poles. However, I don't want that much distance, so I just adjust it to it. Maybe adding some more speed, like this. After we have set the layer geometry and also the color we want, then we can scroll up to the very top, change the name, and in this case we call it process. Now up in the right corner you will see the save desk icon, so simply just hit that one, and you will also see that this effect actually saves in the tile picture itself. So in order to create a poor man's process, change the color, which we did, so it's indicating more like a light pole, and adjust the layer geometry. This is where we can adjust the length and also start position, in which direction it should move, and also adjusting speed and the post delay, which creates the distance between the light poles. On top of the poor man's process, we can also add a static. So if we want the driving car effect still, then we can add a static color, for instance, on the right side to make it look like somebody is sitting behind in the car with a mobile phone. Now we have this effect, still the poor man's process running. Now press the plus button again. Instead of creating a new effect with a static red program, we can now capture the current effect because we want this this poor man's process again in the new one. Here, and choose the position. Now you see we have simply just copied the exact same effect. Now go to the editor and add a new layer. Now you will see that there will be a red color underneath. Again, adjust the size here by holding down your finger on the right side. We don't want this one to be that big. So the more intense you want it, you can of course adjust the brightness, but you can also adjust the size of this static color what we are adding just now. Now hit the red bar to open the editor. To simulate like somebody is sitting with a mobile phone behind, we can now hit the red color, and maybe a blue would be more convenient in this case. So now we actually have created the static color which we want, still with the driving car effect on top. So we have simply just added a second layer to our process bar right here. After we have chosen the color, we can again go up in the top and also rename this program. So in this case, we could say process with static. Hit the save button and you will also see the actual effect in the tile picture itself. So in order to add a static, simply just add a second layer and choose the color, the blue one, so we can simulate that there's one sitting with a mobile phone behind in the car. If we still want to have this poor man's process, but we want to look like that cars are driving by, so more like real lights, then this is surely also possible. So now we can go here in the app and simply just make a hard copy of the first process we actually made. So we can go here to the plus button and now capture the current effect, simply just to make an exact copy of this layered effect. Now it lays right over here, and now we can go to the editor. Now to add the real lights, we would need to add a second layer, so simply just press Add Layer. Now it's already red, and again when holding down the finger here on the right side we can adjust the size. However, I don't want the start position to be from the left side, I want it to start from the right side. Again hold down your finger here on the left side of the red bar. Now we can move it and you will also see the tube reacting to what we do here in the app. Now we would need to open the editor, simply just like this. The red color is what we want it to look like real lights. So what we can do is go to the layer geometry, which is this button here with the arrows inside. I want them to go in the other direction. I want it to look like cars passing by. So this will be this direction, and we can now adjust the speed a bit. However, now it looks like a lot of cars is driving by. So in this case, we would simply just adjust the post delay to add some more distance in between the cars driving by. Now I have it as I want to. So the red light, so the rear light going in the opposite direction as the light poles. Scrolling up on top, now we can rename it. So we can say process and then say red lights and hit the save button. And now again, you will see that the effect saves in the tile picture. So we can always be sure what kind of effect we are actually launching. So in order to create this poor man's process with real lights on top of it, we need to add a second layer to the poor man's process, choose the color, which in this case is the red color, and then we adjusting the layer geometry, so the direction to the opposite side, and also the post delay to create some more distance in between the cars passing by. Creating a bouncing movement can in some cases also be necessary. We can also talk about the Knight Rider effect, for instance. And to create the Knight Rider effects is also easily done with the layered effects. Now as you see here, we have to create a new program. So again, the plus button up in the right corner. Simply just add a static red program and simply just choose the position. It doesn't really matter, depending on the overview you want to create for yourself. Now we can go to the editor right here, scroll through the effects up on top and find the layered effects. Again, we want to create the Knight Rider effect. So now we can open the editor by clicking the red bar. Still the chaser effect here will be a good choice. And now we can go to the layer geometry. The length I would simply just change here a bit, maybe a little bit longer. Then do it like this. Start position in my case is fine. And now the two arrows pointing towards each other, simply just click and choose. Now you will see the effects starting bouncing back and forth. Again, we can add a little bit speed, like that. Simply just adjust everything as you want to and in the given situation, depending on the production, of course. Now we could, for instance, add some edge fade. This is also done through the layer geometry. So this is some fade on the left side. We can also do it on the right side or both sides when choosing this one. In case you want the sides to fade out even more, then we can adjust the edge fade right here. You will also see the pixels actually adjusting to it with the edge fade right there. In this case, we simply just adjust it. I want a little bit edge fade here, and we have the direction set and also the speed is super fine. Now we can again roll up here on top and we can now change the name and call it Kit here, for instance. Again, you will see that the effect is saving in the tile picture. So to create this bouncing effect, we pick a color. So you can also, when having the chaser effect, pick up to maximum of 8 colors. Creating the Knight Rider effect, we only need the red color, of course. and we are adjusting the layer geometry, so the two arrows, the direction, so it's bouncing back and forth, the speed, and also have added some edge and adjusted the edge fade here in this case. In some occasions, police light can also be a very helpful effect, and the layered effects also have integrated many different patterns with some police lights in here. Now we want to create a new program. So hit the plus button here and simply just add static red program. Place it again wherever you want. After we have the new program here, you will also see the tube actually changing in addition to this. Then we can now go to the editor, again scroll to find the layered effects. To open the layered effects editor itself, press the long red bar. Now you will see under the effect parameters we have our 11 integrated animated effects. Now hit the police light. When talking about the police light, we can add up to 4 colors. You can use 2 colors, 3 colors, or 1 color. That's all up to you. Here we want to have a blue one, and the third one will be a red, and then we will have a blue color right there. Now you will see them also blinking actually like a police light. When we go to the FX tab, which you see under the bar, which is now the effect parameters, we have the patterns. The patterns, when we choose this one, we have actually 28 different patterns. So from EU, from US, we can also number 17 choose to cycle all. Here we could, for instance, choose quad RL, RL. You will also see the blinking changes here. Adjusting the speed maybe a little bit. Again, depending on the production and the effect you want to create, you simply just have the option to adjust the patterns, the speed, and not to forget, we can also adjust the layer geometry to even make it smaller. As you see right here, we can have it on the half of the tube, but in my case, we want it on the whole tube. Now scrolling up, and I have the effect as I want to. Now we can call it police and hit the save button right there. The tiles are always showing the effect itself, so there are basically no doubt about which effect you are launching before you actually push it. Now creating another police light effect, we necessarily don't need to create a brand new effect program. We can press now the plus button. The police here is already launched, so when we press the plus, we can go to capture the current effect. Now you will see that we just choose a position that we copy this exact same effect. We want to edit it, of course, so we go to the editor. Now again press the long bar to open it. Now we are in the effect parameters of the police light. What I want to do is to change my patterns, because maybe it's another production, it has to look different. Then I maybe change to a EU3 flashes alternating. Then we can also phase this alternating out. You will also see here, like that. Then we can phase it out. So you will also see that this is phasing a bit more, like that. However, I want the phase to not be that intense. The EU3 flashes alternating is fine, but the colors here we want to adjust. I only want a blue one. In this case, I just want one blue color. You will also see the 3 EU flashes, what we already chose, is simply just animated on the tube here. Now, after we have chosen the effect we want and also the color, we can now again go up here and, for instance, say police EU. Hit the save button. Now we have a police light, which is from the US, and we also now have one in the EU. So very important to remember here when creating police light effects is that you have up to 28 patterns from US, from Europe, from many places. You can simply just adjust it, the speed, you can phase it out, change the colors as you wish, and up to 4 colors, you can use 1 color, 2, 3, and up to a maximum of 4 colors. If you want to create a paparazzi moment, then this can also be done. It can be you want to have a red carpet situation, then here is how it's done. Now you see the current effects here in the app. We want to create a new one because we might need these effects here for another production. So press the plus button and now new static red program. Just place it where you want it to. In my case, up in the right corner, and now we can go to the editor. Here again, scroll to the layered effects so we can edit it. Tap the long red bar, like this. And now simply just down here below, we can choose the Paparazzi. Now it's a red color, so we will also need to adjust the color simply just to simulate a more blitz-like situation. Going back to the FX tab, which is the effect parameters. Now, which is very special here is that you can add photographer count. So you can actually create more photographers, or to create that it looks like even more photographers. Now you will see that it's creating more flashes. Simply just adjust the photographer count as you wish. You can add up to a total of 32 photographers. Of course, the speed can also be changed. Not to forget, we can also change the layer geometry, make it move, make it shorter, and so on. Just keep it in mind. Now that we have the effect and also the photographer count is set to what we want, now we can of course save it and rename it. So we call it Paparazzi. Like that. Now hit the save button and we also have this one created. So when doing a paparazzi effect, just keep in mind that you can adjust the photographer count actually up to a maximum of 32 photographers. Then it also makes it possible for you to make the perfect red carpet moment. Sometimes we might also want to create something look-alike, like a fluorescent tube. We want to create the fluorescent tube as a individual effect, so simply again press the plus button, create a static red program and place it again wherever you want. Now we have this new red program. You will also see the tube is now changing. Now we can go to the editor and scroll here to find the layered effects. Now hit the long red bar and find the fluorescent tube. Again, you will see that we have two colors we can change, and red is for me not animating or simulating a fluorescent tube. Press now the red color and we can change it to, for instance, 2700 Kelvin. The second color here is simply just to create a side glow effect or to add some glow at the sides. You can also change this color, of course. In my case, I just want to have the same overall, so that is what we are doing. Important here is whenever choosing the fluorescent effect, we can choose the startup time. So the startup time, which just means that it takes longer time to start up and suddenly it turns on. We can also adjust the flicker. So this is the flicker once it's actually turned on. If it should look more like an old fluorescent tube, then we can make it flicker really much, or we can make it flicker not so much. Again, here you can adjust the startup and the flicker as you simply just want to. So whenever we save this tile and we relaunch it, then it will start from the very beginning again. Here I want a little bit more startup time, so 6.5 seconds. Now my parameters and my settings are what I want. So now we can rename it and call it Flourescent, like that. Hit again the save button to be sure to save the effect. And now you will also see the picture here. So again, when we relaunch it, you will also see that it starts from the beginning again. Once it's turned on, it's turned on. If you want it to start from the beginning again, simply just relaunch the effect. So very important to keep in mind when creating the fluorescent tube is that you have full control over to create the startup time or adjust the startup time, adjusting the flicker once it's turned on, and you can of course choose your own colors. So you can add this little side glow effect and also change it to a red-blue on the main tube if you would like to. That's totally up to you. We also do have the fireworks effect. Whenever doing a shoot, can be maybe necessary to create some sort of a fireworks effect that somebody is watching it, then we can also adjust a bunch of things here in the fireworks effect, in the layered effect. Again, we want to create a brand new effect tile. So again, press the plus button. Simply just add a static red program and choose your position. So now we can again go to the editor, and up on top we can find the layered effects. Open the editor by clicking the long red bar and simply just push the fireworks effect. These colors which are displayed right now is some colors we have already defined. We will come into that just in a few seconds. Now we can adjust, for instance, the burn duration. You will also see that it now hangs a little bit longer time in the air. Let's say you want some big explosions. They have to be hanging long time up in the sky. Then the burn duration here, you can adjust it just as you wish, and of course to what you wanna do in the production. Let's set it a little bit down. We can also add more segments, simply just to make it look like even more fireworks in the sky. So we can simply just add it like this, then it's a crazy firework. Could also look nice when you have a long row of tubes, then you also have some more space in between. If you're not happy with the colors we already have defined, then you can here choose on the user colors like this, and now we can simply just add the colors what we want, just like that, and then you will also see them being displayed right here on the tube on the left side. However, I like the colors we have defined. Then we push it off, and then we have the colors right here. I want the 4 segments, makes good sense here on my Titan tube. Once you have set all the settings, now the burn duration, maybe you chose to use your own colors, and you have set your segment counts depending on how much fireworks it should look like, then we can again go up here on top and rename it. Fireworks, hit the save button just to be sure that it saves. So the fireworks is about the burn duration, how long time they should hang up in the sky. Also the segment counts if you want it to look like even more fireworks. And you can use your own colors if you are not happy with the ones we have defined in the app already. Jumping into the television effect, we can also do here in the layered effects. Again, we want to create a new program, so simply press the plus button. Static red program, just adding this one, and next to the fireworks. Now go again here to the editor, and we can now scroll to the layered effects, hit the long red bar to open the editor, and now we can go to the TV. As you see, there's a red and blue color, and it also flickers. So this flicker is predefined and simply just flickers a little bit randomly. We can of course adjust the speed. You will also see it flickers faster. We can also adjust the color change speed. Simply just, let's say it's an action movie, a lot is going on, so you can see it on the person's face when they watch the TV. However, let's change the red color to a little bit more light, like that, maybe a little bit, then we have it maybe like this here, yes. Then we go here and say maybe a little bit more like that, and then we have also this one right there. Perfect. Going back to the FX tab, so the effect parameters, we can now adjust the color change speed. You will see here it also changes when we adjust it. I want it approximately here on 50%. You can also double tap all the sliders and simply just type in the exact value, hit the OK button, and we now have it on 50%. In the TV effect, you can add up to a maximum of 8 colors by own choice. That's totally up to you, basically. Again, guys, remember that you can always go into the effect parameters and adjust the length, the start position. You can, of course, make it move. You can also add some post delay. You can do everything here also in the layer geometry. Doesn't matter which effect it is. This is always adjustable. Once we have created the television effect, we want to name it and we want to save it. Now deleting this, and we call it television. Yes. Hitting the save button, of course, we need to save it. Now we also have it here next to the fireworks, the television effect. So what we have done here in the television is adjusting the color change speed and adding colors. We added 4, but you can add up to a maximum of 8 colors. You can also add 2 colors if you wish, depending again on the situation and what you want to create, but it is there and it's possible. Sometimes we might want to create a flicker effect. This can also be done with the layered effects. So in this case, we are going to use the welding effect, which is also here in the layered effects. As you see, I have turned off the Titan tube and now I have the NYX bulb running here just to show you the flicker. Can be that it must look like an old bulb hanging outside the house. Now we have the editor of the first layer here open, so let's just go and choose the welding effect. Now you will also see that the bulb is flickering. That brings me to talk about highs and lows. So maybe the highs are too much for the camera now, then we can simply just add a second layer to add our lows. Add a layer here. You will also see that now the red layer is underneath the flickering. Simply just open this second layer's editor and choose here, the flickering color is 4000 Kelvin. Then we choose the lows here as 4000 as well. Going here to the effect parameters and also adjusting the brightness so we still have the flickering and simply just adjusting the lows. So in case you want to do a flicker effect, this is simply done with the welding effect, also like a burning arc. And here with the second layer, you can adjust the lows. So everything can be adjusted once we talk about highs and lows. Simply just choose the welding effect. If you, for instance, have a NYX bulb you want to flicker outside a house, I am sure your imagination is good right here. Talking about a little bit flicker, we can also create a fire effect. Some of you might know that a fire effect already have been in the app since the very beginning, but it's also with here in the layered effects. What we can do now is, again, being here in the layered effects, find the fire effect. So here we can simply just choose up to 2 colors. The first blue one would probably be a red, makes pretty good sense. And the second blue is now an orange. Then we have created a fire effect. You can choose your own colors here, guys, not to forget. And we can, of course, adjust the speed to the flickering fire effect here. Again, don't forget that we can adjust the length. So again, adjusting the layer geometry like this. Maybe if you only want it from the left side, then simply just adjust the length. If you want it from the right side, this effect, then we can also move it like this. Or maybe from the middle, then we simply just move it to the middle. However, this is, in my case, looking very nice on the whole tube right here. So the fire effect can be added up to 2 colors. Simply just choose the effect, change the 2 colors there, so you also have the flickering fire effect. Could also be an ice effect. I am sure your imagination is pretty good here. If we now want to mix some colors together, we can also create a gradient effect. Let's start here on the page where we already have a lot of layer effects, effect tiles. Then we can now press the plus button. I want to create a gradient tile for itself or individual because I might use it often. Now add a static red program, lay it right down here, and go to the editor and slide here to the layered effects. Again, we open the editor, always clicking the long red bar, then we can open and edit our layer effects on this one layer, of course. Now find the gradient, which is right there. Now there's only one color, so it's the red here. What we want to do is add a second color, maybe a white in between. Now we can add a third color, which might be something like this. Now we have the 3 colors. Again, here you can add up to a maximum of 8 colors. Simply just choose and do. Go back to the effect parameters. What you can do in this case is that you can animate the gradient effect. So we can, for instance, stop it, or we can have it run in the other direction. We can also do it in the other direction. This is a little bit different when talking about the layer geometry, because this is simply just a gradient which is animated and not like a moving effect. We can of course adjust the speed of the gradient here, just like that. Nice, simple and easy. And again, remember to, if you want to, adjust the layer geometry if you only want it from the left side, or we can also do it here from the right side. In my case, I want to have it on the whole tube and not animated, but the option is there, so take it, it's yours. So now that we have the gradient effect as we want to, then we can actually just scroll up on top and we can save it right here. Just call it gradient in my case, it's probably easier, and also remember to hit the save button, and there we have it. So the gradient can have up to 8 colors by own choice, simply just pick and choose. And then we can animate it, so we can have the effect running nice and smooth, and of course adjusting the speed to this animated gradient effect. If we don't want a so gradient effect, then we also have the zebra effect. The zebra effect is on the complete right side, so we can simply just choose it right here. Now we have the 3 colors which we also had in the gradient. We can add, for instance, up to 8 colors if we want to. So this again, guys, is totally up to you. You can have 2 colors, 3 colors, 1 color. Going back to the effect parameters, you will see we have the brightness, which of course can be adjusted. And again, the layer geometry. So if we want this zebra effect to be a moving effect, then we can, for instance, adjust the length and maybe set it to move. So now we have created a zebra effect which is moving. We can also make it bounce if we want to. If you think this zebra effect with maybe a little bit shorter length is quite good, like this, maybe not so many colors though, let us have only a few. Then we have a red, white and blue. Then we can go back here to the geometry, and then we can repeat the effect. So now we have 2 times repeat of the effect. Now we can have it move, for instance. When we choose to save this exact effect or program, we can have it loop for, let's say, 4 times. Speed it up a little bit maybe. Then it will loop for 4 times when launching the tile effect, and then it will simply just stop at the start position you already have chosen. So the zebra effect is not so gradient effect, and then you can of course add up to a maximum of 8 colors. And guys, not to forget, the layer geometry can always be used to make it move, to make it run. We can also make the pixel length shorter, and we can of course choose if it should come from the right, middle, left side. You are the one choosing in this situation. If you want to do something with random colors, maybe it has to be randomly picked whenever you shoot, maybe on a person's face, then random colors is also a thing we can do here in the layered effects. Now, as you see, when we have the layered effects open here also in the editor, we can now take the 2 arrows between the fire effect and also the fireworks. So this is the random color. When choosing the random color here, it's actually, the colors are defined by us. So if you don't like it, you can also choose yourself. However, you can add up to a maximum of 8 colors. We can adjust the crossfade speed, so if you don't want them to change instantly, we can also have them changing a little bit more smooth from color to color. We can also sync the segments, and that can be seen whenever we do it here, adding some more segments. Now you will see that we have some different segments which is changing randomly. Whenever we sync the segments, they will change at the very same time right there. So we have simply just synced them. If you want them to change out of sync, just press it off. We can add multiple segments up to 8 here, depending on how crazy you want the random colors to look like, of course. Again, if you are not satisfied with the colors we have defined in the app already, then we can use palette, push it on, and now we can simply just add the colors we want ourselves. Just use the color picker, you can use the HSI or the color gels, of course. When creating random colors, there is a lot of effect parameters you can adjust to make it look even better or to the specific production you are doing. You can add up to maximum of 8 colors, adjust the crossfade speed to make them more smooth when they change the colors in between each other. You can also sync the segments so the segments shift or changes the colors at the same time. Of course, you can add the segment count, so simply just have more fields or segments with colors, and you can use your own colors if you are not happy with the ones we have defined in the app already. Now, talking about layered effects, we of course can add multiple layers. If you have watched the whole tutorial so far, you have also seen that we have added up to 2 layers, but in the layered effects we can add up to a total layers of 8. Let us try add multiple layers and create some different effects and some different scenarios. Now we want to create multiple layers, so we also want to add a new program here to our page of already existing layered effect tiles. Now hit the plus button, and now we can, for instance, static red program. So just place it down here in the corner, or at least in my case, you can of course choose yourself. And now we can go to the editor. Now simply just slide here between the layered or to the layered effects. Now open the editor by clicking the long red bar right there. And in the first layer is of course the one we are editing now. So here in my case, I want a little red glow coming from the left side. So I simply just add the layer here, not moving, just a simple red, a little bit glow from the left side. Now we can tap the red bar here to close it, and then we can add a new layer. Now we can open the editor right there, and we could, for instance, let's say we want the red one to be orange, and we want a second one in the chaser effect to change between the green and the orange color. So we will now go back here to the effect parameters. We want the colors to fade a little bit more in between each other and not just change instantly. I also want to adjust the length here in the layer geometry and also place it right here on the right side. Maybe I want some sort of orange-green effect coming from a little bit more the right side to create, let's say, some more action coming from the right side. The layer geometry at the moment is fine for me. I don't need it to move, so I will just have it static, changing between the orange and the green color. Now adding a layer here and opening the third layer. Again, guys, keep in mind you can add up to a maximum of 8 layers. One layer contains one effect. So you can simply just get started and also try play with all 8 layers at the same time. Now the third layer, I want to have a fireworks effect, but as you see now the 3 layers up here on top are also symbolizing the tube we see on the left side. So now I can see, okay, here is space for my fireworks effect. I also want to have some more fireworks. It's a little bit space, but now we have it looking like some more fireworks coming from a little bit left side from the middle on. If we, for instance, choose, okay, we want the orange-green changing chaser to move, then simply just open the editor. Now we can go to the layer geometry and we can make it go to the left side, for instance. Now we can, for instance, adjust the speed. And if we want to create some more distance in between this effect is happening, then we can add some post delay, which is done by this. Again, the post delay is creating some sort of a virtual extension of the tubes, what you have here. Also keep in mind that you can always double tap the sliders, so simply just like this, and then type in the correct or a specific value if you want to. This can be done on all the sliders, so if we want to, for instance, adjust the post delay, then we can double tap it and, for instance, say 100%, and then we also adjust it like this. You can do it the same way with the speed, the length, and the start, of course, so all the sliders basically. When talking about multiple layers here, we can also, let's say we don't want the red one to be in this multi-layer effect or this layer tile, then we can also deactivate with the blue little activate, deactivate buttons here on the right side. So now you will also see the picture up on top actually changes. So in case you don't want the fireworks to be within this layer effect tile, simply just deactivate it, hit the save button, and then it also saves just like this. If we have created the effects we want and also in the 3 layers, the 3 layers here in my case are super fine, then we can scroll up again and then we can here say multi layers. Hit the save button and now we have the multi layers, also visualizing 3 layers in this tile down here in the bottom. Multi layers is, of course, we can create up to 8 layers in total and 1 effect per layer, of course. So you can also in each one of the layers decide colors up to 8, also depending a bit on the effect, and also you can adjust the layer geometry. Simply just, let's say you have a long line of tubes of 10, maybe 50 tubes, then you can place some red over in the right side and you can also place some other paparazzi effect on the left, in the middle, and so on. It's totally up to you, up to 8 layers and 1 effect per layer. The layer effects here are built on a concept called HTP, so highest takes precedence. The HTP looks at the same color, so if you have 2 layers with the same color, let's say a red, they are overlapping. One of the layers have 25% brightness and the top one has 50%. In this little room where they overlap, the highest brightness wins. So this is basically what it means. The highest takes precedence. The layer with the highest brightness simply just wins. It doesn't mean that in between there are 75%. This will then be 50% where they are overlapping. Now digging into chapter 5, which is about edit layer tiles. We already by default when downloading the Astera app and also by firmware, we have layer effect tiles already in the app, so you can use it right away. However, if it's not maybe the speed you want, maybe not the color, then we can of course edit these tiles. If you have watched the whole tutorial, we have actually been creating the exact same effects which is already in the app by default. Simply just to show how easy it is and also to show you how you can create your own and also adjust the layer geometry, adjust the parameters and colors and all at the same time. What you currently see on the app here on the right side is the ones we have created in this tutorial. And when we just scroll here, you will see it's exact same. So guys, no matter what, you can simply edit the already existing programs or effect tiles which is in the app. Not only the layered effects, but all the effect tabs or tiles that are in the app. Let's go to this side, which is the already existing tiles. Now, if we want this process, so we just push it, maybe even with the blue one. Let's say you don't want the blue on the right side. You simply just want to change it to a red, maybe a green, and so. Launch the effect. Now you see it's also active on our tube here on the left side. Now we can go to the editor. Now push the layer which you want to edit. Now we simply just push the blue here and press the blue up in the right corner, and now we can change it to a green. If you now want to make it move, or maybe you want even the process, the poor man's process, move even faster, then we can push the layer up on the top, go to the layer geometry, and then simply just adjust the speed. We can also add some post delay. For instance, we want to add some distance in between the light poles, then simply just add this. Now we have it, also creating a virtual extension of the tube. If this is an effect you use more often than the effect we have by default in the app, then just remember to hit the save button and you will also see the effect tile in the app already have changed. Let's say you want a very good crazy situation with paparazzi, then we can also edit this one. Now go to the editor, open the paparazzi here and maybe add up to 8 if you want to. You can actually here add up to 32 photograph accounts. If you want to see how to create a new layered effect programs from scratch, then you should watch this whole tutorial. This is just to show that you can also edit the already existing layered effects in the app. So guys, you can actually edit the layered effect tiles, which is already by default in the app. Of course, when you create your own, you can, as many times you want, also edit these. So you can create your own, or you can edit them. You can also edit existing layer tiles if you want to, of course. Just wanted to mention that during this tutorial we have simply just been recreating the exact same layer tiles, which is already in the app by default. So we have now reached the end. I hope you have learned a bunch of things. If you're eager to learn even more, visit our webpage astera-led.com Academy. Thank you for watching.